This news just hit like a bomb here. The United Arab Emirates are publishing their Bitcoin holdings here, or rather, a major player from there is. But it gets even crazier. There's also a mega announcement on top of that. Is what I've said so many times now actually happening? The Saudis, the sheiks in Dubai, Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, and so on. They're going to buy Bitcoin here like there's no tomorrow. Still, the Bitcoin price is dipping a bit today. Could it be because China just made things worse for the trade war? They're coming out with a shocking announcement here. The Bitcoin price is under a bit of pressure, but things could also turn around just as quickly. But in general, we just have to be careful. Volatility is definitely possible on Sundays with low liquidity, and whales who can just manipulate the Bitcoin price here. There have also been new allegations of manipulation involving naked calls being pushed into the market here and causing price pressure. Let's take a closer look at the whole thing. But before that, you'd really make my day if you could take a second and smash the like button down below. As a little thank you, I'll also show you this beautiful bratwurst here. Check this out. And along with it, this nice chart from Beyond Meat, hitting more and more toward the bottom. Who the hell eats stuff like this? But hey, that's up to everyone to decide for themselves. And a lot of people are losing hope right now, but we always have to remember, here, Mr. Finney, what he already said back in 2011 or 2012 or so, I don't know the exact date, when he said this. Oh, here it says he actually said this in 2009, just a week after Bitcoin went live. He says here, that gives each coin a value of about 10 million. Back then, Mr. Finney already did a projection, a Bitcoin legend, showing where Bitcoin could end up. He came up with a potential value of 10 million, and that's basically the bull case he predicted even back then. That's pretty insane, of course. So don't let yourself get rattled by any short-term pullbacks. Even when we see things like this, China has just discovered a massive gold deposit. Here, 100 tons of gold. It even says here that this is one of the biggest gold finds. China has just discovered the largest gold mine ever. It even mentions a value of 85 billion here. And that's the thing, gold can always be found in greater quantities. You can dig deeper, you can even go into space and so on. But with Bitcoin, we have absolute limitation, absolute scarcity here. And that's the game changer here. And that's why a lot of people are much more bullish on Bitcoin than on gold in the long run, because gold will eventually lose its scarcity or its limitation. Because right now, it's only limited by technological progress. And as technological progress continues, it will become easier and easier to mine gold. That's not the case with Bitcoin. And that's exactly why we're seeing a very interesting story here. Rashid bin Saeed, let's take a look at who this person is in a moment. Right here, boom, here in the United Arab Emirates. Royal Group has bought Bitcoin worth $690 million and plans to buy $5 billion more in the next 3 months. It's over, folks. Game over. And here they're publishing their Bitcoin wallet, from the looks of it. But what's interesting is, if you dig deep with ChatGPT here, there's still no official confirmation. The thing is, though, this account seems to be someone pretty significant here. He also has 300,000 followers here. But we also have to be careful here, because the AI also says, I couldn't verify that this person, as shown in the screenshot, is an officially confirmed figure with a high government position or a well-known ruler of the Emirates. Still, this is an official company here, Royal Group. That's the company behind this, the one that's supposed to be buying the Bitcoin here. A large company that includes 20 smaller companies, founded in 1990, with over 20,000 employees. So we really need to keep a very close eye on this going forward. I could definitely imagine that this is the case here, that the Saudis and others are just stockpiling Bitcoin behind the scenes, just as it appears. Could these also be mining operations? It even says it here. Citadel mining is mentioned here as well. Or maybe the whole thing is just a fake. Feel free to write in the comments below what you think about this, or if you have any more information about it. There's also a report that the Crown Prince of Dubai says the OTC desks are running out of Bitcoin after the recent dip. We keep hearing reports like this from time to time. And yes, it's partly true that certain OTC desks then have less Bitcoin available. And that also means that less can be traded around the official exchange, so to speak, and that puts more price pressure on Bitcoin. But we also have to be clear, OTC desks can't really be emptied out. Because if the OTC desks are empty or getting emptier, the price of Bitcoin usually goes up, which then creates a greater incentive to send more Bitcoin to these OTC desks. The important thing we need to take away from this story is that there's probably a lot more going on under the surface than we officially know, just like with Bhutan, for example, where it only came out a few years later that they were actually doing Bitcoin mining. That would also, for example, explain why the Bitcoin hash rate keeps rising all the time. Even during bear markets and periods of weakness, the hash rate goes up, because the computing power in the Bitcoin network is constantly increasing at such a pace. Institutions and players like these are, of course, secretly mining as well in order to get their hands on Bitcoin. At least, that's my big theory. Then Max Kaiser posted something really hot here. Namely, that naked shorts are currently manipulating the Bitcoin price here. In a massive way, not just with Bitcoin, but also with strategy. Because there was a post here, and someone simply once revealed that Wall Street is selling stocks short, stocks that don't even exist. Through the manipulation of the stock market, billions in fake securities are created every day, while the SEC, the regulatory authority, just turns a blind eye. This has been going on for decades and has only accelerated. It's called illegal short selling, but no legal action is taken to stop all of these illegal practices. And Max Kaiser is basically saying the exact same thing right now. He says that's what's responsible for suppressing Bitcoin prices and also the prices of strategies here. And now, for example, something interesting is happening with gold and silver. The demand is rising so enormously that these short sales, which have also been suppressing gold and silver, simply can't keep the price down anymore. That's exactly what central banks have been doing for years, manipulating gold and silver prices, because otherwise it would send a signal to the market like, hey folks, something's going on here. There's something fishy going on here, and now the gold price is rising because it can no longer be suppressed. And now people are starting to realize, okay, something really is off with this whole story. And the same thing could happen with Bitcoin once there's a certain excess in demand. At the moment, the excess demand doesn't seem to be high enough yet. And then we'll also see those short squeeze-like moves upward. And I found it really, really interesting that even Handelsblad is now talking about the debasement trade and is asking whether one should shift into gold and Bitcoin. The fear of currency devaluation is driving investors into scarce assets. Additionally, according to a new survey, German industrial companies are worried about their competitiveness. And that's exactly what Saylor is doing. He not only has his operational side here, but above all, he is strengthening his balance sheet by introducing Bitcoin as a strategic asset, and that's also his big thesis. Hey guys, you simply need hard assets on your balance sheet, then even an economic downturn like this can't put your company in trouble. I mean, just think about it. If you have 700,000 Bitcoin, even if you do not do anything for the next 10 years, you will still outperform the entire S&P 500. You will still outperform the Magnificent Seven. And if you also have an operational business on top of that, you do not have to go overboard like strategy. Even if you just have a little bit of Bitcoin on the side. Thank you. You are simply in a much, much better position here. And now companies are starting to get it. Individuals have understood it for a long time. And apparently, the big players, countries, and the like are starting to get it too. But it's always difficult to get official statements on that. There's a lot of back and forth about it. There's a lot of speculation, just like in the United Arab Emirates, where we've already heard a lot of reports. There were even rumors that Kuwait's sovereign wealth fund wanted to buy around 600 billion worth of Bitcoin here. We know, for example, that Abu Dhabi sovereign wealth fund owns Bitcoin. So these are really, really wild times that we're living in right now. And China has fueled the whole thing even more. Now, this is already a very, very hot topic. That means we have trade conflicts here and all the tensions between China and the USA. And now this news comes out. It can't be a coincidence that this news is coming out right now, just before the negotiations and so on, is being released. They write here, we have irrefutable evidence that the US government has carried out cyber attacks against the country. So this has already happened, and that's the issue here. This just brings more unrest to the market, and what we actually need is not more unrest, but rather a bit of peace, a bit of reconciliation. And I'm also curious to see whether Donald Trump will respond to this, whether he'll say, oh, liar, liar, all wrong, or if he just won't react at all, or what basically the reaction to this could be. Earlier, a really, really cool clip popped up for me from Adam Beck, one of the founding fathers of Bitcoin. Well, not exactly, but he was already mentioned in Satoshi Nakamoto's white paper, and he makes a really, really cool prediction about where things could be heading in the near future. Like I said, this isn't a brand new clip, but it's a very, very relevant one, especially right now, just to get in sync about where things are headed in the long run.
That this could actually happen, right? So I think, because if everybody was 100% convinced that it's going there, it would already be there, right? And so there's got to be doubt about the pace of adoption, how much more money is, and what the addressable market actually is. We don't fully know. I mean, I think Hal Finney's estimate is reasonable because still today, even they made it, is because there is a lot of...
So, just briefly, this is about Hal Finney's estimate, meaning Hal Finney's prediction, which I mentioned earlier, with the 10 million, and he says it just fits. It fits 100%, and he explains it further, because adoption is moving forward. The question is, how big is the addressable market?
Monetary premium, where people are trying to protect themselves from inflation, is safe by, buying real estate. In some cases, they're not even using it, it's just vacant. But, there's a lot of that in New York and China and different places, right? And that is not a great thing, because it makes housing less affordable. And if there was a financial product or a monetary instrument that did that for you, it would make housing more affordable. So it would improve, cost of housing, access to housing, quality of housing that you can afford on a budget. So those will all be good things. And there are other things with monetary premium or where people are trying to protect against inflation, like the bond market, and some more esoteric things like art, wine, where people use that as a kind of novel way to protect against inflation. And if you add all that stuff up, it's, 200 trillion is possibly a conservative estimate at this point because we've had a lot of inflation between 2000.
Yes, we've been active in both. So in crypto, we do offer.
Stopp. Okay. Also er spricht hier darüber, dass hier 200 Billionen Marktkapitalisierung hier ein konservatives Ziel ist für Bitcoin. Und ja, er spricht halt über das monetäre Premium, weil wir einfach so viele Assetklassen haben, die einfach nur so aufgebläht sind, nur so einen hohen Wert haben, weil unser Geld kaputt ist. Immobilien, die sind einfach so aufgebläht, die kosten so viel, weil unser Geld kaputt ist, weil man Geld nicht sparen kann in unserem Euro-Dollar und so weiter. Und ich will nicht sagen in unserem, aber im Euro-Dollar muss man sagen. Und dieses monetäre Premium wird natürlich Stück für Stück hier in Bitcoin reingezogen über die nächsten Jahre. Und deshalb sagt er hier, Helfini hat nicht übertrieben. Und 200 Billionen ist ein konservatives Estimate. Zum Beispiel Jack Mallers geht von 450 Billionen aus. Manche, die gehen sogar von 900, den kompletten 900 Billionen aus, die globales Vermögen. Mittlerweile ist es wieder etwas größer. Aber das ist halt hier eine sehr, sehr interessante Annahme. Und wenn dann halt aus dem Anleihenmarkt, aus dem Aktienmarkt, aus dem Immobilienmarkt, etwas aus dem Kunstmarkt, aus dem Goldmarkt und so weiter hier einfach aus jedem Markt 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10% in Bitcoin fließt, dann sind wir halt hier schon bei 10 Millionen oder mehr und das ist einfach spannend. Da könnt ihr mir gerne mal unten reinschreiben, wie ihr das Ganze seht. Und wenn ihr jetzt noch Bitcoin kaufen wollt, mache ich euch unten einen Link rein zu 21 Bitcoin. Da könnt ihr ganz einfach sicher Simple Bitcoin kaufen, Code Bitcoin Hotel benutzen, bis zu 10% auf die Gebühren beim Kauf von Bitcoin sparen und wir sehen uns. Peace out. So he's talking about how 200 trillion in market capitalization is actually a conservative target for Bitcoin. And yeah, he's talking about the monetary premium because we just have so many asset classes that are just so inflated that only have such a high value because our money is broken. Real estate, for example, is just so inflated. It costs so much because our money is broken, because you can't save money in our euro, dollar, and so on. I don't want to say our money, but you have to say in the euro and dollar. And this monetary premium will, of course, be gradually absorbed into Bitcoin over the next few years. And that's why he says here, Hal Finney wasn't exaggerating, and 200 trillion is a conservative estimate. For example, Jack Mallers assumes 450 trillion. Some even go as far as 900, the full 900 trillion, which is global wealth. By now, it's gotten a bit bigger again. But this is just a very, very interesting assumption here. And if, say, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, or 10% from the bond market, the stock market, the real estate market, a bit from the art market, the gold market, and so on, basically from every market, flows into Bitcoin, then we're already looking at 10 million or more. And that's just exciting. Feel free to write down below how you see the whole thing. And if you want to buy Bitcoin now, I'll put a link below for 21 Bitcoin. There you can easily buy Bitcoin with Simple Bitcoin, use Bitcoin Hotel, and save up to 10% on fees when buying Bitcoin. And I'll see you. Peace out.